the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council. Sounds like, which is amazing that this is a thing. All right, welcome to another episode of the Road Dogs Podcast, coming to you today from Daddy's Dogs in Madison, Tennessee. I'm joined today by an old friend, an old road dog like myself, Mr. Robert Bull. Thank you for joining us.
Of course, yeah, great to be here.
Yeah, man, we go back a good bit, and of course you serve on the Echo Live board, which we're going to talk about. But man, appreciate you joining us today. Have you been to Daddy's Dogs before?
I have not.
So this is your first bite of a Daddy's Dog.
That's what I'm talking about.
So what did you go with?
So I'm originally from Moline, Illinois, the home of John Deere. So for me, it was Chicago-style hot dog.
Nice.
I mean, that's kind of the SM57 of a hot dog for me.
Okay, that may be a T-shirt. The Chicago Dog, the SM57. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I copied you because look, this will be our 7th episode. I've done the New York style every time, which is sauerkraut and mustard. I like it.
Yeah.
Not so great on the intestines when we go to bed at night. My lovely wife is like, no more. So hey, I'm going to try the Chicago Dog with you, man. But I'm going to jump in here and have a bite. Let's try this thing out.
All right.
Oh, man.
That's good stuff right there.
That is really good stuff. Obviously, people know Chicago Dog, a lot of times has the relish and pickle and things like that. Like, it's such a good bite with all that combination. I love, like, the Daddy's Dog and their grill on this dog.
Yeah, that's the part right there. Immediately hit me was just the char on it. And just the good snap when you bite into it.
Right.
And then all the flavors that hit it. That's a darn good dog.
That's a darn good dog, and the nice toasted bun.
Absolutely.
I don't know where Daddy, I meant to ask him, we had him on a couple weeks ago. I meant to ask him where he sources his dogs. And he probably don't want to talk about it, but I don't think we're getting this at the Publix. I don't think.
I don't know if, I don't want to say if we don't want to know, but I think it's better off we not know.
We probably don't want to know where the hot dog comes from. Yeah,
right,
like we don't want to know where that comes from. I mean, are you a food guy, or do you love to eat?
I do, and I love to cook. I really enjoy kind of all kinds of food, and my wife and I, we live out about it, out in the middle of nowhere, kind of. So we have to plan for the week. I normally don't get home till 6:30, so
okay.
We try to plan what we're going to eat, and we eat at home a lot. So it's a lot of fun to cook.
Do y'all share cooking duties, or are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you do best?
I would, if it was coming from my two daughters, it'd be ribs.
Okay.
But I do it the Midwestern way. It's funny because I don't do the competition ribs. I do it in 2 hours, and they fall off the bone. There's not the tug and all that stuff. But I make my own dry rub that I learned from an old neighbor. Yeah, it was really cool. So
do you ever share your dry rub? Have you ever is that something you're willing to share? Or is this like, no, this is mine?
No. It's very traditional, right? It's just brown sugar, garlic pepper, smoked paprika, chili powder. And then the kick at the end is the ginger.
Oh,
so there's a little bit of ginger in the end of it.
Like powdered ginger or fresh? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
I never would have thought about that.
Yeah.
And what do you use? Are we on a Traeger or a Big Green Egg? Like, what are we doing this on?
So this is an interesting story. You said you were going to Seattle.
I am. Yeah, tomorrow morning.
My family in the '60s bought land in Whidbey Island.
Okay.
So my cousin lives out there, and his neighbor is the guy who founded Rec Tech Grills, which is a smoker out of Georgia. It's his brother. And so they told me about it. And so I own a Rec Tech just because it's close to my family, and I know Dave and the Carnes family. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a great grill.
A very personal grill. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Do you ever cook for the team at Claire and stuff? Is that something?
I have. The interesting part about that is now that Sound Image and Claire is combined, the Sound Image folks are far superior cooks.
No, we can't let that happen.
I mean, these guys are no joke, man.
Really?
Yeah, it is impressive. So when we normally cook, those guys take over, and they are machines.
Man,
yeah.
I want to come back to this because this is obviously an interesting thing in our industry with the acquisitions and mergers, and we're seeing a lot of that in the industry. But I do want to come back to that. But man, I want to take some time and hear a little bit about your story and about you coming into the industry, coming to town, and how you got your start.
So I grew up playing piano.
Okay.
and I say that because I play piano. I'm not a piano player.
Okay.
And, I'm from a town of 1,200 counting livestock in Illinois. So if you've ever seen American Pickers, it's actually across the river. It's called Port Byron, Illinois.
Oh.
And so I grew up playing piano and thought I was going to be a big rock star and all the normal stuff. And then I realized that I was, I could play, but I wasn't like a player, And so my dad's like, you got to figure out what to do. Well, Full Sail had actually come to town and done one of their big extravaganzas in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And I was like, I want to do that. So I thought I was going to go be like a movie score sort of thing and, take my skills and put it to whatever. And then I got in the studio part of it because it did live studio and video. And I was like, 3 days on a kick drum is not helping my ADD.
Can't do this. Yeah. Not for me.
Yeah. And so I then, I saw the live guys and they're like, hey, would you want to come set up one of these shows? And as soon as I did that, I was hooked. This is what I wanted to do. I grew up baling hay. I liked the physical part of it. I loved the camaraderie. And so I got out of school, and my uncle was a 2-star admiral in the Navy at the time.
Okay.
And he had Hank Jr. on the USS Constellation. So he calls Mark Oswald, which is crazy. And he says, why don't you go to work? And I don't know if I ever told you this, Chris, but he says, I got a buddy of mine named Robert Roth. Why don't you go work for him in Atlanta? So I did. But before that, when I was at Full Sail, I was a local stagehand with IPS.
Okay.
And so Garth Brooks comes to town, and I met John McBride.
Mm-hmm.
Everything he is, and then Brent Dannon, the monitor mixer.
Okay.
So Brent was unintelligent enough to say, "Man, you got a lot of want. Here's my phone number if you ever need something." And that was kind of like my Wonka ticket. It was the golden Wonka ticket. So
wow.
I get out of Full Sail. I move and realize that I am gravitationally challenged, and climbing in trusses is not what
had that same problem. Hey, and I don't hate that I had that problem.
I just, I realized it just kind of wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. And so I was calling Brent like every week, and he would answer the phone, and it was great. And then we did an installation at a place called the Crystal Chandelier. It used to be an old Piggly Wiggly outside of Kennesaw.
Okay.
And they turned it into a big country bar. And so that was kind of my way to do something different. And so they hired me to be the lighting guy there. And then once I was doing that, I migrated to audio, which is what I always wanted to do.
Okay.
And while I was there, Brent had called me and he said, hey, I got a job offer if you want it, but you got to promise me if I recommend you, you stop calling me. And so I did, and it was actually for George Lucas. So and Ringling Brothers. So my first tour was, I think I was 19 years old. I went to Japan for 4 months, and it was
your first tour. You went to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, didn't know what a passport was. I did a phone interview with the technical director, and he's like, "Do you have a passport?" And I was like, "I don't really know what that is." But he goes, "Great, I'll have a guy show up at your door tomorrow, have these documents, and then he'll fly back on Friday." And so that's exactly what happened. And I got on a plane Saturday or Sunday, and I flew to Narita. Landed, didn't really know where I was going. They didn't give me instructions. I just got in a cab, and I was like, I'm supposed to go to here?
Had you ever left the country before?
No.
So you're 19, mm-hmm. and you hop on a plane and go to Japan, mm-hmm. which I love. Yet culturally and it's a lot. There's a lot happening.
Yeah.
And you just get dropped off. I can't imagine how overwhelming that must have felt.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. But I knew the opportunity, and I didn't know what I was going to eat. Stuff was looking back at me. I didn't understand anything, And so what I did find out was when I landed, there was a machine outside the hotel, and it sold gyoza, or pot stickers.
Yeah, I love those.
So I just lived off of those until I could figure out what in the world was going on, And then my job was really interesting because so it was Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. And what they did was they took George Lucas's 5 top movies and they tied them together with this Japanese actress. So it was Indiana Jones, Tucker, American Graffiti, Willow, and Star Wars.
Okay.
They had 2 outdoor movie projectors that you would see, when you go to a drive-in. And so that was what would happen between the set changes. Mm-hmm. And we couldn't lock this empty time code. You got to remember this is 92, I guess.
Okay.
91, 92. Nothing could lock because it was Ringling Brothers. We had live animals.
Oh.
So we'd have a tiger freak out and rip a light off or something. You couldn't, you had to stop, or you had to, So my job was to sit out front. I had to learn all the choreography, and I did all the sound effects.
Oh.
So every lightsaber, the whoom, or every grunt, everything. I actually played that.
Just like triggering samples and stuff?
Yeah, the keyboard in front of me with a cardboard cutout with, one would say grunt, one would say sigh, one would say, lightsaber or whatever.
I kind of want this now in my life.
Yeah. It was incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Was it fun or was it intimidating? It
was all of it, yeah. I mean, it was, and I was there for 4 months, and so we were a month at a time in each city. So,
wow.
Being able to spend a month in Shin-Yokohama and Osaka and Nagoya, get to know those places I had no idea what the gift was, but, to this day, it's still one of the most memorable, coolest things I've ever gotten to do.
And I just envision 19-year-old Bull calling home and going, Mom, Dad, I'm in Japan making some lightsaber noises.
Yeah.
And they're like, and this is what you want to do and you're happy. I'm just going to be clear here. Man, what a cool thing, though.
Yeah. Well, that was my first tour. And then, so I did that. The other cool thing was I think I can talk about this. If not, you guys can edit it. But so it was 88 trucks. Right, so
88. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh!
And they were the Japanese trucks, so they were the soft side, so they weren't the big ones. But it was a 4-day load in, and then like a 36 to 48 hour load out. So I go do the first load out, and I'm like, okay, so I heard about gig butt. I had no idea really what that feeling was, and I never want to feel that again.
Yeah.
So I went to the technical director, and I was like, hey JT, just so you know, I'm from Illinois, and I'm a farm boy. I'm a country boy. I said, so if you need somebody to drive a forklift, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
And do you remember the Morpheus truss that the folded down?
Yes, I do. Yeah, swing wing. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are heavy and difficult. And so he's like, we do the first load out, and he's like, yeah, whatever. And the second one, we went over like 4 hours. And so he comes to me and goes, all right, if you can speed this load out up, you can do it. So okay. So I've realized that if I could pick up from the side that truss, side shift to get the first 2 wheels on, and then grab another forklift from behind it and push it on, we wound up saving like 4 hours. So for the next 4 months, that was my loadout was doing forklift op, and I was like,
let's do that. Let's do that.
Let's do that instead of all of this walking and everything else. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was. And then people, because my dad worked for John Deere for 42 years, they took pictures of me on Mitsubishi forklifts and everything, anything that wasn't John Deere, and they would,
Oh, like a big up yours.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't be the road without it, right?
Oh my gosh!
And then I came back to Atlanta, after that was done, and realized that, doing stupid things in Atlanta and kind of just a different shift. Mm-hmm. John and Martina McBride came through, and John's like, "Hey, I own a sound company. If you want to move up to Nashville."
At this time, we're just talking about MD Systems.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yep. And so I knew a couple people that worked for MD, and I came back, and so I just moved up there, and I had a friend of mine from Full Sail that I lived on his living room floor, and built stages with Jimmy J.
Oh yeah.
Worked at Starwood, with Rich Flora, and was a stagehand, and just did anything I could do to get in the industry. And then John said, hey, I got this guy I need you to go out with, and this guy was named Greg Holland. And so I went out and mixed monitors for him, and he was an incredible artist, but it never really took.
Okay.
And so I came back, and then I started doing stuff for MD, and I just kind of migrated to the monitor position because I understood musicians, I understood music, right? I could kind of speak to speak at a level playing ground.
Yeah.
And then John said, hey, I need you to leave tomorrow. You're going to go out with a lady named Trisha Yearwood. And I was like, oh, okay. He says, don't suck. I said, okay. And really, I was with her for a couple of years, and then that just kind of took off. I was with Martina for 18 years.
What was your role? Are we mixing at this time? Or
yeah, I mean, it was weird. I came right out. It was kind of like coming out of COVID. Like, if you couldn't get a job, you weren't breathing. You know what I mean? Because it was Garth had just taken off.
Yep. Oh, country is just...
Yes.
Yes.
And so I just had those opportunities, and I didn't fail, but I fell forward a lot of times, and I had great people, Gino Salerno, and all those guys that, Kenny Schubert and all these people that helped pick me up, and Tim Lemoy that just put me in the right direction, Chris Taylor, and just had such great people around me that, they're like, come on, kid, and so I just kind of grew the career and just tried to learn as much as I could, tried to be, the best person, I guess, or the best mixer I could be, and just try to take it all in and work really hard.
Were you a contractor at this point, or were you an employee of MD at this point?
I was an employee of MD, but we didn't, with MD, it was weird. We just worked for John.
Yeah.
We never discussed how much money I was going to make on this gig. We never did. John would just be like, hey, I need you to go do this. You're cool. And you knew it was going to be right.
Yeah, he'd
you
take
know?
care of you.
Yeah,
it was just that kind of guy he is.
Yeah, you never, I mean, you could ask him if you wanted to, but there was no reason to.
Yeah.
And it would be, sometimes it would be, you'd have to take one for the team, not very often, but then he'd walk up and shake your hand and say thank you with a $100 bill in it. I mean,
Yeah.
McBride has just always been that guy, so it just, I was an MD employee, but I just worked for John. I mean,
Yeah.
anything you needed was just yes,
And so you found yourself behind the monitor console on
Yeah.
a lot of these. What drew you, or was it just by that's being told where you were going, or did you have a choice and say, I think I'd rather do monitors over front of house?
I tried front of house and I was terrible at it.
Okay.
And not that I was really ever a good monitor mixer. It was just that I could kind of speak the speak of the musicians, you know what I mean? Because I grew up playing.
Yeah.
That was a big thing. I just didn't have the gift of creating holes and filling holes with EQ and it wasn't my thing. I liked being in the hot seat. I liked being a part of a team. I liked being part of the band. I liked figuring things out with them. So I just that was kind of my choice.
Yeah.
And I realized that I just was not very good at it.
Yeah, and look, self-realization is an important thing, and you know and you don't know what you're good at and what you're not good at, and that's even in my own career. I can look back and go, there are things that I did well at, or I did adequate at, and there's things that I just shouldn't be doing,
Yep.
and it's better to have. And I've actually hit that point now, even when it comes to programming a show. I love programming. I love putting data into a console, but console technology has shifted to a point that I have not afforded myself the time to learn it. That I've learned that I'm better off hiring one of these 20-somethings who can come in here and make it happen really quick than
Absolutely.
me spend hours Googling how to turn a fixture on. You just learn. You know what you know and don't know,
Yep.
and stuff. But I will tell you, it's going back to that monitor position. Looking back at my career, that is one of the hottest seats in the room. Jordan and I, the previous guest, were talking about how high turnover is in our industry, and how it's just something you're going to have to accept. You are likely going to get let go from a gig or two in your career. It's just going to happen. But watching monitor engineers, that's probably one of the positions I've seen being most vulnerable to being let go, because obviously you're not just trying to make one person happy, you're making 6, 7, 8, whatever you've got on stage happy. And depending on egos and tempers, that can be a hard balance.
It is. And I think, it's interesting. That was always the deal. I also think that it's hard for front of house now, too, because of cell phones. I've been called into the dressing room many times, not many times, but one in particular where it's like, this does not sound good.
Yes.
And you're like, but the microphone, and they don't want to hear it. The artists don't want to hear that, right? They don't want to hear that. All I know is I looked up this YouTube thing, and I don't like the way it sounds. And so I think that, front of house is getting to be just as difficult.
Interesting. I've heard of this even on some lighting conversations. They'll watch a YouTube video and they're like, your timing's off here. And it's like, it's just, wow, I didn't even think about that. You've got another challenge with social media and all that. Wow.
And then, pack into the point of a husband, wife, a boyfriend, and girlfriend sitting out front. So now you have to be aware of that sitting to the next to you, but then you also have to be aware of the person in the 300 section with the cell phone. There's all these different things to manage, know. So it is difficult. And I think, monitor mixing is managing expectations, right? And being prepared. Like I'm sure it's this way in lighting as well. You have to know your workflow.
Absolutely.
Right. And you have to have fundamentals.
Yep.
Right. You have to have, great gain structure, good mic placement. And if all those things are the same, you and I were talking before we started about being consistent every night.
Yes.
That's exactly, for a monitor mixer, that's what you want.
Yes.
And so using the tools that you have to be able to be consistent every night.
Yes.
It's not, I have to have this piece, I have to have that piece. It's, let me make this the best I can with what I got that I can do every single night.
Yes.
Right? So I think that was kind of the big thing for me, was just being able to make it consistent every night, and then making sure my workflow, my head was always up. That, when I would do festivals, I know you do a lot of festivals, and we've done them together.
Yes.
I would always tell somebody that I may not get right to you, but when I do, I'll raise my hand so that I acknowledge you, right?
Yep.
You don't feel put off or anything
Yes.
like that. So it's just everybody's really, making everybody as important as everybody else.
Yeah.
And you do have to have thick skin. And there's times, too, when it's just like, it's different personalities, right? It's just not going to work. That doesn't make you any less of a mixer, any less of a lighting person, less of a tour manager. It doesn't mean that. It just means that it just didn't mesh. There's just different personalities go for different things. So, what I used to do is we used to joke around on Martina is that I'd take a good show and I would make it like a playing card. And I would always tuck it right here in my shirt like this. And then when I'd have a difficult show, everybody could feel the pressure. We always say crap rolls stage left. I would always just do this thing where I'd pull it out and I'd act like I'm looking at my card going, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
We're
Yes.
just having a difficult night tonight. But we've had good shows. It's okay.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how our jobs as a whole, and talking in particular about those working behind the scenes, are part technical and understanding the technology of what we do and gain structure and mic placement and lights and how they work, but the psychology aspect of it and people management, personality management is huge.
It is.
And looking back on my career, a lot of the people I've seen fail weren't because they were bad at mixing. They were bad at knowing how to manage personalities, or when that artist blows up on them, as they do. I've been blown up on before. How do you handle that? Not snap back or handle it in a mature way that doesn't get you fired. But it's crazy how we have to really balance all these things.
Yeah, and you have to be a leader too. At least, in the monitor position, I would always say nobody gets excited until I do.
Yes.
Right? Like, don't run.
I like that.
We don't want to make people excited. We want to make people calm. We want to be consistent, right? So if I get excited, then we need to do that.
Yes.
But if I don't get excited, I don't want the team getting excited.
Yeah.
And we are all one team, right?
I love
we win
that.
together. We struggle together. Right?
Yeah.
It's just how it is.
So I want to go back to your career path here. We're at MD Systems. You're working a variety of gigs. You've been out with Trisha Yearwood. What point does your career with Martina come into this?
About 1997, I think. Yeah, 96, 97, something like that. So John was looking for a monitor mixer for Martina. She was just starting to take off. And Brooks Thomas, who did Winona for years, was doing it. And I got to follow that guy. And he was, such an incredible monitor mixer, And so John's like, do you want to give it a shot? I mean, of course, I was scared to death. And so I did. I mean, as we do, right? We fake it till we make it. And the first show, Martina walks on stage, and it was at a state fair. And she starts singing. She's like, John, could you come here and check this? Like, sings 2 notes. I was like, okay,
gosh.
I'm going home already.
Oh, man.
And John goes up there and he's like, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And he tells us a couple of things. He's like, Bull, did you want it to sound like this? And I said, yeah, I think so, And he goes, no, it sounds great. Here you go. So that's kind of how they broke the ice. And then, Martina and I we worked a lot together. We had some good shows. But, the one thing she said about me is she goes, Bull, you never give up. It might be the last note of the song and you finally figure out that sweet spot, but you'll never give up. And then I never gave up on her. It was just a really great relationship with her.
What was that like, having a husband and wife power duo who are both great people?
Absolutely.
They are both phenomenal people. And she's one of the best singers country music's ever seen.
Yep.
But having you've got 2 bosses there, that had to have its challenges, man. I mean, you had to show balance on 2 different levels at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a daily thing. The cool part was John got it, right? Like, if something he was doing was affecting me on stage, I could call him up. And then same thing. So we got to a point of trust between John and I, and certainly with Martina and I, where it'd be like, hey man, 200's killing me up here, or the front fills, or, Bull, you're doing this to me, and it was such an incredible learning process for me that I don't think what I've done the rest of my career, I don't think I would have been able to achieve without the challenges and stuff that I learned with them.
Yeah. How long did you spend with Martina?
18 and a half years.
My gosh. I want to acknowledge that is a rarity these days.
It is.
That kind of loyalty doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly
And look, Jordan and I talked about this too, but there's a reason why turnover is high, and there's times it's very justified, and sometimes it's just time for a creative change and time to move on. But man, 18 years, there's very few camps that are that loyal. Like, I know Garth, I mean, you're talking about people who have been with him for 30-something, almost 40-something years now.
That's right.
Kenny Chesney's had a very loyal crew. There's several artists that have very loyal, and I've had a lot of respect for that. And I've had a lot of respect for artists that genuinely care about their employees and their crew. And I'm going to give an example of that with you here in a second. But there's very few artists that offer health insurance or any kind of retirement benefits. And whenever I hear those stories, the ones that do, man, really warms my heart and gives me great hope for humanity on the artist side, and that it's not just business managers making the best decision for the dollar, that we're caring about people, because we care about people. But man, something popped up on my Facebook feed. I get up every morning and I love it or hate it. A part of my daily habits is I get on and wish everybody happy birthday on Facebook, and then I go through and look at my memories. And one of my memories popped up. Now, I feel like it was in the past week, but it may have been 2 weeks. But it's where I had reshared a post that I don't know why I'm going to get emotional talking about this, but I do know why. But Martina had shared, I want to lift up Bull in prayer, and I'd shared that and wrote a note. It meant so much to me. Obviously worried about my friend who's just gone through this incident that I want you to talk about, but that Martina loved you so much that she put that out. She didn't have to put that out there on her socials.
No, she didn't.
She didn't have to say anything.
Yeah.
But she did.
Yeah, they did a lot of incredible things during that time. So in 2015, it was June 7th. And the funny part is I have a 17-year-old and a 21-year-old. And so we celebrate that day because I'm still alive. But what I also figured out this year, after I guess it was my 11th anniversary, is that the date is 6/7. So I looked at my youngest daughter and I go, 6/7? Right? I didn't put it together. So ridiculous.
6/7?
6/7, you know.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was out on tour with the Rolling Stones and I was mixing monitors for them, and I don't remember. Everybody says that I was complaining about the middle of my back that day, but I don't really remember that. And so we had played Dallas, and the next day we were flying out. And that night I went to production and I talked to Lizzie, our production assistant, and I said, what's going on tomorrow? And she goes, hey, we're going to leave 15 minutes early. Traffic's supposed to be really bad tomorrow, or I would be dead in a hotel room because of that decision.
Wow.
That she made, because I coded right on the bus. So we all get on the bus, and it was a bingo hauler to get to the airport. And I'd walked up, and some of the wardrobe people that I've been pretty close with on the tour were like, did you go out last night? You do not look well. And I said, no, I went to bed. And they're like, are you sure? And I said, no, I didn't do anything. I just did the gig and went to bed. And they go, man, you don't look right. So I sat down next to Stephen Carter, who was the other monitor guy with me, and he's just like, man, are you okay? And I said, I don't think so. And then literally the circle just went, phoom, and I coded right there. And so they emptied the bus, I guess. They pulled me out in the middle and did CPR. Chris Daniels, who mixes monitors for Luke Bryan, saved my life, him and Lizzie. And so they did, like I said, chest compressions and everything else. And because I was on tour with the Stones, they had a protocol if something were to happen to the guys. So that just implemented to the crew as well. We also carried doctors with us on tour. Because the guys were elderly.
I mean, it sounds like if you're going to have to go through this was the time and place.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's interesting because Dr. Brad, one of the doctors out there, actually interned at the hospital I went to.
Oh.
So I guess, like I said, I'm completely out. I've been told this a couple times, and within 2 to 3 minutes, people were there working on me and got me to the hospital, and then I was put in a coma. I was in an induced coma. And I guess my brother was standing. It was interesting, too. Brent Dannon, who I talked about at the beginning, he was there visiting his parents. And so he came to visit me. Misha Kosiolek was there. Alan Ditto was there. John McBride was there. So he'd come down to see me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really powerful, those people that surround you. And so I went through that ordeal, and I woke up, and I guess my finger was moving. My brother said, is that supposed to happen? And the nurse was like, no, we better warm him up, because they had me in an induced coma. It was colder.
Yeah.
And then 4 days later, I was on my way home. And the interesting part was, as I said, I don't know how I'm going to get home. I was hurting from the chest compressions and all this stuff. And I was just so confused, so embarrassed, all the things.
Yeah, all the emotions, yeah.
And my wife just kept saying, don't worry about it, honey, don't worry about it. And Carla was just great. And I just kept saying, I don't know how I'm going to get home. I don't understand. I don't have a job now. What am I going to do? And she opened up the curtain. She goes, look out there. And there was a tour bus. And John and Martina had sent the tour bus to pick me up and take me home.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
Dude, what an amazing thing. Foremost, I hate that you went through this. I hate this for you. I hate it for your family. I know that wasn't easy, but man, talking about realizing who has your back and who shows up for you when you need them.
Yeah.
You got to live that.
Yep.
How's your bill of health now?
Good. I mean, it's so funny. My cardiologist is great. He is a 6'3" African American, and he's from Jersey.
That's awesome.
It's perfect, right?
Yeah, that's great.
And he's like, Robert, you know what you need to do, and you know what you don't need to do.
Yeah.
And so, to be honest with you, Chris, having the new Rock Nashville campus is probably the best thing that's happened to me because I got to walk. I mean, that place is huge. So, things are good. I take my medicine, do my things, and drink a lot of water, and try to do more right than not.
I want to talk about Rock Nashville here in a minute and talk about more of that. But yeah, I had a little heart scare, nothing compared to you, nothing at all compared to you. But I had a heart thing last year that I haven't really talked about that was very eye-opening to me. I ended up, I had a atrial flutter, went to the ER, and a couple months later I had what's called an ablation procedure. Mm-hmm. Obviously, nothing compared to what you went through.
Yeah,
but I have a cardiologist now, and I know you've learned some things. This feels really weird to talk about over hot dogs.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, glad you said that, because John McBride gave me a piece of advice when I got out of the hospital. He goes, Bull, I said, yeah, man. He goes, everything in moderation, including moderation. So I think a hot dog once a year, a couple times, I think it's going to be all right.
You know what? I agree with you. I have that same relationship with Jack Daniels.
Yeah, well, I like to shake his hand every now and again, too, just to make sure everything's good.
Oh, my goodness. So you go through this obviously horrific medical incident. Where are you at in your career phase in terms, do you go back on the road and continue mixing monitors, or we start to head off and become more of...
So that was the transition, right?
That was the transition.
Yeah, that was the one where, I'd been playing with it, Chris, but, I'll tell you, getting off the road is kind of like, for me, and just my journey was kind of like quitting smoking. Mm-hmm. I tried it a bunch of different times in the late 90s. I didn't want to do it. And once I decided I wanted to do it, then I did.
Yeah.
And so getting off the road, this was kind of that moment of lightning bolt in your backside. And I came home, and my oldest daughter looked at me, Haley, and she said, Dad, I didn't think you were coming home this time. And I was like, okay, enough of that. I've been doing it 20 plus years.
Oh my gosh, man.
And so I called Troy Claire and talked to Scooter and just said, hey, I think I really want to try this sales thing. And so, the team flew down and we talked about it, and I had a really distorted view of what I thought doing sales was.
Sure.
I thought it was nothing but lunches and gripping and grinning, and it's actually computer work and taking phone calls and everything else. And it took me, Chris, honestly, about 4 years to really get off the road.
Yeah.
Because I would go out and help people mix. So, when Chris Stapleton was breaking, I would go out and mix monitors for him, or do TV broadcast, or Maren Morris, because I really worked hard at developing new acts. That was kind of my spot at Claire. I felt like, everybody's kind of got their thing, and, they have their spot to go get these artists. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm just kind of full of crap.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So I just tried to find great artists before anybody else did, and try to just, because, and I think that was kind of the start of it. But then when Chris blew up, they were looking for a front of house guy, and of course they threw out all the big names and everything like that. And then, we all sat down and said, well, what about RPAD? Like, you guys are learning, he's learning. I toured with RPAD with Martina for over 10 years, mm-hmm. and we did this really great, because it's wedges, and, we would tune the PA together, and, with the wedges together. And so I knew what Chris was looking for, and I knew he had that experience. And so being able to mention that, and of course they made the decision, and RPAD still makes in front of house for him today.
Yeah.
And at that moment I went, okay, because I was struggling to find out what the purpose is, right? And then I was also struggling with the teamwork. That's the best part of the road, is like, we are a Navy SEAL team, and nobody's going to come between us, and we're going to attack everything that comes our way together, with grace, with pride, with laughter, with all of those things, right?
Yeah.
And so I was really nervous getting off the road with that. But when that moment happened for RPAD, which he well deserved, I realized that my only job at Claire Global was to just help people. And then there's no greater gift in the world than to be able to help somebody.
Yeah.
And so every day I go to work and I'm like, that is my focus, is who can I help today? And a lot of times too, it doesn't have to be somebody from Claire. It's just somebody in the industry. And I think that's, not to throw the Rock Nashville campus around there, I think that's the beautiful part of that, is, we have competitors sharing walls.
Yeah.
Because it's not about that. It's about the industry. It's about us as humans. It's about helping each other out when somebody needs it. So once I figured out, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to get some crappy phone calls, or, we're going to face these challenges. But my day-to-day, I have an opportunity to help somebody.
Yeah.
What a great day to wake up.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about waking up every day and being able to look ahead, and because at that point, if you know that that's your mindset and that's your goal, you're waking up every day looking for opportunities to engage and problem solve and make somebody's life a little better. I love that outlook and that position for you, and I could see how you would do very well in that. That's awesome. So let's talk about, I've watched you're my account rep on any shows where I hire audio, New Year's Eve and July 4th and all the great things we do together. But, watching this evolution and creation of Rock Nashville, you've been very integral in this process. You've been a very big part of this process, I grew up here. I'm a fifth generation Nashvilleian, and so I'm celebrating my 35th year in the industry. It sounds like we came into the industry about the same time, but I remember the old school of Nashville. I remember when Norton owned Soundcheck and Tony, and I remember that and that being the production hub, and Cowan Street was the production hub, and of course Ambrose Avenue had some businesses, and Laverne had some businesses and things like that. And then we started hearing rumors, there's going to be a rehearsal facility, and several people had ideas, and on paper they looked great, but they never came to fruition. And then 3 years ago or so, we started hearing about this Rock Nashville thing that's coming to town. And at first I was skeptical. I'm like, at first the part of me that doesn't love change was like, oh no, what does this mean for our industry, and what does this look like? And then you start really looking at the core of what it is, and you're like, oh, this is a game changer, and this is going to be huge for our industry. And talk to me a little bit about launching this thing and about your part in making this great thing happen. I know there's a lot of players involved, but you definitely have a part in it.
Yeah, so it's weird how I can remember this. I can't remember the grocery list, but I can remember this. I got a phone call from Sean Clare, I think it was May 23rd in 2023, and he goes, hey, I really think we're going to do this thing. And the great part about it was they looked at Nashville, and they're like, ooh, it's really expensive. And they go, well, let's look in L.A. All of a sudden, Nashville became not quite as expensive. Right. And so, they had asked me a couple times, do you think Nashville's ready for it? And we had talked about some of the pitfalls. And so Sean had called me that day, and he goes, hey, I want to talk to you real quick. Do you have a minute? I said, sure. And I was sitting outside with my dad. My daughter just graduated high school. And he goes, we want you to help with Rock Nashville. We're going to do it. And I was like, why me? What? I mean, I said, I'm unbelievably honored that you would ask me, but
because you help people and you're a problem solver.
Yeah, and I think, when I flat out ask them, what do you want me to do? And they go, don't let us mess this up.
Oh, right? That's a heavy burden.
Yeah, they just went, we're spending a lot of money. And I think what it is making sure we're respectful to Nashville.
Yeah.
If there was anything that my part of it was, it's to make sure that people like yourself, people like Jordan, all the people we know, Mark Anderson, insert name here, are represented well, right, with kindness. The two things we heard, and I say this on every tour I've given, I've probably said it to you, is everybody said, I don't want your rock and roll attitude, and I don't want your rock and roll prices. And so we just really intentionally laid the campus out with those two things in mind.
Okay.
So started when it was a hay field. I think I can share this. When they finally said yes, I kept telling Sean's like, we're going to do it. And I was like, until I get a laminate and a plane ticket.
Right.
I've been in this position before. And he's like, dude, we're going to do it. So anyway, everything got done, and it was a Saturday, and I live about an hour and 15 minutes away from the campus. And it was a Saturday, and I grabbed my wife, and we drove down there, and he said, she's like, what are we doing? So I'm going to take you to lunch. Don't worry about it. It was a big empty hayfield. And so I walked up there, and there's a grove of trees, and I go to get out, and my wife Carla's like, what are you doing? I said, just a minute, honey. And the day before, they had said, this is probably where the Clare offices are going to go. So I get out of the car, there's no road in there, whatever else, and I go to the bathroom right on the ground right there. I said, I am marking my territory because I never thought I'd see this happen. So I'm putting my scent on the ground, and that's kind of...
That's amazing. I love it. I love it.
And then, the meetings and, going through all of those things and making sure press releases, we're not saying the wrong things, and our message is clear. Right?
Yeah.
Our message is service.
Yeah.
And then the exciting part too is about the helping people. I think it's going to help Nashville. We all know that Nashville is not just country music. It has such a diverse, group of people, of genres of music and all that. So to be able to help show the rest of the world what Nashville really is, man, what an awesome opportunity.
You just hit the nail on the head, man. People, yes, we are Country Music USA, but obviously we have a huge CCM base here. But
Yes.
so many rock, R&B, et cetera tours, pop tours are basing out of here because of Nashville has become a production hub for
Yep.
all genres. And just some of the names you and I have talked about, people that have been in there recently rehearsing or in there now rehearsing, it literally, it's covering the spectrum of
Yeah.
genres, and it's really cool to see. And you said it a second ago, but one of the things I'm loving seeing is that I can go over there. I can go up and have lunch. You got a great little cafeteria, but I can literally just walk a little loop and go see hi to my 4-wall rep or my Fuse rep, and I can go over here and hit some golf balls in the stage call office there, and
Yeah.
you just go, and it's kind of like a high school reunion, and you just kind of go around and see old friends and talk. It's a really magical place
Yeah.
y'all have created there.
Yeah, we're very humbled, by the response from people. It's fun for me. Yeah, we are working on parking. I'm just going to say that out loud. But I park kind of the furthest away because number one, once again, for walking, it's great for my heart.
Yeah.
But I love to start my day going through sound check because I don't know who I'm going to see.
Yeah.
And so I'd start my day walking through there and saying hi to the Studio One team, kind of getting the vibe, and then walk through the hallways and see who's loading in. And a lot of times I'll find people that it's their first time there, and I get to introduce them to the campus and walk them to a room or do whatever. And so just once again, an opportunity to help. And then, have you seen the cafe, or have you done this? Who do you know here, or whatever. So it's just, it's a lot of fun.
Man, that is incredible. I'm going to read our hot dog fact of the day.
Let's
You
go.
and I can learn together, and then we're going to talk a little bit more here. This hot dog fact is hot dogs made it to the moon. One of the strangest hot dog facts is that they are tied to the Apollo 11 mission. The National Hot Dog and Sausage Council sounds like, which is amazing that this is a thing.
I want to be a part of that.
Yeah, like
I want to do that.
Note to Tyler, the producer. I want you to see if you can get Bull and I onto the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council. I can't wait to see what their logo looks like. It says that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin are 8 Frankfurters during the trip, making hot dogs part of early lunar food history. It is a very American detail hiding inside of one of humanity's biggest technological achievements. Boom.
Take that.
So we're going to the moon, and we're eating a hot dog, and the best part, we're going to figure out about this council.
Yeah, we have to do
gosh.
that. Yeah.
I mean, if they have any kind of convention, sign us up.
I'll wear the T-shirt.
Right?
We'll help design
man,
it.
we've got a couple of minutes here left. I want to hear about Robert Bull and his spare time,
Sure.
and how taking work out of it. Are you able to come home at night in your role and turn off and become dad and husband, or is that hard to do? And what's
Yes. I think with everything, I tell my wife, I try to give 110% at work, and I try to give 110% at home.
Yeah.
So a lot of little things, putting the phone in the kitchen where I'm not death scrolling. I'm not on any social media.
love that for you?
That's just always kind of been a thing. For me, I wanted to lead my children that way. But yeah, I think it's part of it's cooking, Chris, honestly. But that's spending time together, being intentional together, and then creating new things, trying new things together. So we just started making pasta, which is...
Oh, I want to learn to do that.
Yeah, it's not as difficult as you think.
Really?
No, but there's a couple steps. And so it just takes time. We start every morning eating breakfast together. So we take, if it's like this morning, I think we had 12 minutes to eat together, but that's how we want to start our day. And that's how we want to end our days together.
Oh,
Right.
man. And it's intentional. I think the key word here is you're being intentional. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
I think that's so important here. I love that y'all do that.
And that's been kind of recently in the past couple of years. I love to mow the grass because that's when nobody can kind of touch me or get to me, and I can put on whatever music or podcast or whatever.
Okay, I love you just said that because Jordan, our last guest, and I were just talking about this. What you're calling, he called it his Zen moment, is going fast fishing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Me is my morning walks. It's
Yep.
throwing on the earbuds and taking, I try to do 3 miles, but that is my time to go work out things in my head. Is that what grass cutting is for you?
It is, yeah.
Isn't that weird how I don't think it's weird. I think we need that, right?
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to have those moments and to be intentional. But be selfish for a minute, right? Because, we found out during COVID, nobody's taking care of us but us, right?
Very, very, very true. Very true.
Yeah, and I do love fishing as well, but these past couple of years, it's been a struggle. My neighbor has a pond, so I'll walk with my daughters back there and we'll do some fishing. But yeah.
But yeah, well, that's good. I love that you're finding that balance of that personal life and work life. And then, of course, as I said earlier, you are one of our proud Echo Live board members. I
Yes,
know
sir.
you've been heavily involved, especially in our wellness efforts and helping lead the charge on not only what we're doing in the mental space, but, exploring how we can help in the physical space and things like that. We love that you're a part of that organization.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'm very proud. I love the fact, this was a dream of yours a long time ago, and to see it grow to where it is today is a testament to you and your tenacity for not giving up when it was hard. And that's why I did it. And when I got asked to be part of the board, I've known you for a long time. I know what your morals are. I know what your intentions are, and that's what I wanted to be a part of it. And once again, it's another opportunity it's another outlet to help somebody, right? And people in the industry, and that's what Echo Live is, right? It's about helping people in the industry, whether it's education, financial, wellness, well-being, all of those things.
Yeah.
That's something you created, and something you should be unbelievably proud of. And the people that you have there, I know Taylor Watson looks like he's next, but he's joined the board, and it also brings us together,
Yeah.
right? Because there's so many different people, whether it's a lawyer or like you said, a financial coach, Rachel, or all these different people that kind of surround the industry
Yeah.
or in the industry and bring everybody together for different perspectives. And I think the more perspectives we have, the better off, the more successful we're going to be.
Absolutely.
Right? And so it's just it really is. That's one of my proud things that I get to do every day. And I love to tell the Claires about it. I love to tell the Rock brand about it, everything that's going on. So it's great for me to be able to represent, what you started, along with, so that we're walking next to Echo Live and that we're not walking in front of or behind, right? So
Yeah.
we can just be a part of something that you started, and we're just really, really proud of that.
Well, dude, thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you so much for being a part of that. But most importantly, thank you for being my friend and
Yeah.
for being on our podcast today, man. It's been truly an honor having you here and getting to share a couple bites with you and talk a little bit of life and entertainment and stuff. But, that wraps another episode of the Road Dogs podcast. I want to once again thank Daddy's Dogs for their grateful partnership, making sure we're well fed here.
That's right.
We will see you on down the road.